Pittsburghers, fellow progressives, fellow Americans. I really don't have a prepared speech. Not really sure what I'm going to say. But then, I don't need to know what I'm going to say, because I know how I feel, and I know what we must do. First of all, let me disclose a couple of things. I am a public access producer. My show airs on public access in Pittsburgh, PA. The show is called Humanity Matters, because it does. I disclose that because I want to let you know, as a host and journalist, I try to be non-partisan and objective. But as Albert Torcaso, citizen of the planet Earth, citizen of the United States of America, citizen of the great state of Pennsylvania, finally citizen of the city of Pittsburgh, and citizen of Greenfield, the neighborhood of Greenfield in Pittsburgh, as that Albert Torcaso, I must stand for what I believe in, even if it is what one would call partisan. You see, I must separate the private Albert from the journalist Albert. And today I'm here to tell you that I am not impressed with the Progressive Democratic Party, with the regular Democratic Party, or the Republican Party. Now, I know this is for the progressives. Do not turn me off at this point, because you will understand what I'm going to say. I'm not impressed yet, but I believe that by the time this airs, and within the very near future, I will not only be impressed, you will be impressed. Because you see, why I'm not impressed is many progressives, when they are campaigning for political office, they try to go as far away as they can from the word liberal. And if somebody attempts to attach the word socialism, that candidate runs. Not necessarily literally, but they try to back away from it. Well, I'm here to tell you, if we believe what is right, if we believe in justice, if we believe in fairness, if we believe in fair pay for all, if we believe in equal rights and fair pay for women, if we believe in providing health care for all Americans, no matter how it is done, we should not be afraid to say that every American ought to have a right to access to, in fact, has a right to access to health care. We should not back away from the truth. And the truth is that in Germany, they have had universal health care since 1883. And the United States is always billed as the best country, the most democratized and wonderful country, and one of the richest on earth. Yet we do not provide health care for all. Maybe it's time we have a single-payer system. Maybe we have universal health care. And let me throw this at you. We can have a government-run healthcare system. We can have a government-run, paid for by the government, healthcare system. We can have a government partnership, government-run, private industry-run. We can have a government-run, private industry-run, private-funded, government-funded cooperation, collaboration. I do not care if the private industry pays for universal health care, or if it's a combination of government-run, government-funded, private industry-run, private-funded. We need to have universal health care in America to prevent these horrendous situations where people are dying because they cannot get the treatments they need for whatever ails them. We need it because we need people to no longer go bankrupt and to clear bankruptcy simply because of health care bills. So we need it. And I'm counting on you, the progressives of Pittsburgh, PA, the progressives of Pennsylvania, the progressives of the entire United States, to urge Congress and to call Congress and to legally, peacefully protest when it is warranted, to call the Republicans and say, look, we need this health care. Because let's be honest, if every single candidate, or let me say congressperson in United States Congress was filled with nothing but progressive Democrats, I guarantee you that even if every single member was a progressive Democrat, we would still need to legally and peacefully fight for what we need, what we want, and what we have a right to have. Now, on the matter of socialism, I'm not going to tell you that universal health care and universal education doesn't have any aspects of socialism to it. But what I am going to tell you is that that does not mean that we cannot have elements of socialism and still have a capitalistic society. It does not mean that people can't still earn money, and maybe billions of dollars, as long as they are responsible and pay their fair share, and as long as we remember the United States means united, not divided, not Republican, not Democrat. No, it means what it says, united, meaning that the welfare of you matters to me. The welfare of myself matters to you. We act as a people, just like we pay for certain things, like the fire department, because it's something we all need in case of emergency, or the police department, or the paramedics. So this time for backing down, letting the conservative right and hiding from the word liberal or even socialist, the time for hiding is over. I'm standing in front of a soldiers and sailors type of monument to men and women that fought in World War I and in World War II. I'm in Shadyside area in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I think about these plaques and what these men and women fought and died for. They fought for a better nation. And when they fought for that better nation, they fought as a unit, as a united unit. They didn't care if they're comrades, or not comrade, but you know, they're friends in their unit. They may have been they could have been the most staunch conservative Republican and the most liberal of the Democrats. And they were friends, and when they fought in that war, they fought to save each other's life, and a lot of them died to save their family members or their friends or their teammates' life. So let's get back to being a United States of America, my friends. But for the progressives of Pittsburgh, my message to you is stand firm. Fight for what you believe in. And my message to the United States is we are going to get a law that will give us universal education. We are going to get a law that is going to give us universal health care. Now, it may not be in 2011. It may not be in 2012. It may not be in 2018. But eventually we're going to get it. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. And as much as we hear we can't afford it, we need to think about how much of that is true. DC says we can't afford this, we can't afford that. But yet they gave $12 trillion to the banks in loans over the last 3 years. 12 trillion, not billion, 12 trillion. Now, just to give you an idea, that is more than 4 times the entire cost of the Iraq and Afghanistan war. The banks were lent $12 trillion. If you combine the cost of the Iraq and Afghanistan war, it was $3 trillion. Banks got $12 trillion. They got it for less than a point of a penny of the dollar. Now, the first question you might ask yourself, where did the government that's broke get $12 trillion? And then I heard and read and found documented proof that apparently all that $12 trillion was paid back to the United States government, the United States Treasury. So, first of all, where did we get $12 trillion? And now that it's paid back, why isn't that being applied to the needed programs to help America or to pay down the debt or both? You see, we have the money, my fellow Americans, my fellow Pittsburghers. And now, let's go a little local for a minute, a little statewide. Governor Corbett, decided he was perfectly okay with cutting adult basic health care. The people paid $36 a month. They cut it because of a discrepancy. It was $50 million that we supposedly didn't have. All right, well, if we don't have it, you might say he was justified. You might say that he was justified, my fellow Pennsylvanians. Except the fact is, Governor Corbett has given tax cuts in the tune of $833 million that he is not making the corporations pay. Now, if we don't have $50 million in the left hand, how can we say we don't want the $833 million in the right hand? If he takes this money is here and people don't lose their coverage. So we need to write to Tom Corbett, the governor. We need to write to our local officials. We need to make every single politician in America, whether they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, start signing written contracts before they're allowed to be elected, written contracts with the people that will be put on file. And whenever they breach that contract, we as a nation must be allowed to void their contract and recall them immediately and take them out of office. That would mean possibly taking out presidents out of office legally and peacefully, taking out governors out of office legally and peacefully, taking out the mayor of Pittsburgh legally and peacefully, if need be. It is time, my progressive brothers and sisters. It is time, my conservative brothers and sisters. It is time, my brothers and sisters of America, that we wake up to reality. That we deserve certain things. And if you read the Constitution, you'll find out that no politician in Congress today or ever has actually adhered to the Constitution of the United States of America. I can prove it real quickly. The disabled, needs-based disabled American is not allowed to have more than $2,000 at all, at any time, or even in a retirement account. That very fact alone means that an entire segment, millions of Americans, are denied their rights to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and to a future and to retirement. They are denied that. And no progressive ever fought to change that law. No conservative ever fought to change that law. No lawyer from the ACLU ever fought to change that law. Well, now it's time that we legally and peacefully fight to change that law. You see, a needs-based American has the right, ought to have the right, the same rights the Constitution guarantees. So yes, they may never be able to get off of Social Security, never able to get off of the welfare. But if they're allowed to put money away, they may actually be able to eventually get off the payroll and save